Hi everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. Today in today's video we're going to learn how to make this beautiful color block dress that has a sort of an underbust design or an empire waist design. If that is what you want to learn how to make for yourself, then keep watching this video to the very end and let's head straight to the tutorial. So firstly, we'll be starting with our pattern drafting process. You need your basic bodice front in full. Okay, so now my neckline is in the basic, like you want to make a shirt, but I'm going to be removing 1 inch from it. And also for the depth of my neckline, I already removed 3 inches, which is for the basic. So I'll come down removing additional 5 inches, making it 8 inches. So I'll be connecting those points together with my long ruler. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing. Click the bell notification icon so you'll be notified whenever I post lovely tutorials like this. And make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and also share it to other sewing platforms where they will be needed. Thank you. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark in my contour dart for my neckline. As you can see, the neckline is kind of deep, so I don't want to risk it. I decided to contour it. Having contoured the neckline, the next part of this dress that we're going to contour, or the next part of our pattern that we're going to contour, is the underbust line. We're going to be contouring the underbust, and to contour the underbust, I went ahead to mark 1 inch apart from the bust apart measurements. And with my ruler, I'm going to be connecting it like so. So now at this point, I went ahead from that point of my neckline to start rolling in that empire waist or underbust effect. Okay, so I went ahead to start rolling it in from that very point of the neckline all the way to the underbust. Just follow the step by step of what I'm doing. So this is what your pattern should look like at this point. Now on my waistline, I went ahead to separate this pattern, upper half scale and the lower part of it. So I'll just set aside the lower part of it while we work on the upper part of the pattern. I went ahead to cut open my side bust dart. Then I'll go ahead now and cut open the neckline contour dart so we can close it and transfer the dart to the side bust dart. I think I drew this neckline contour the wrong way, but that doesn't matter. If you really do not know how to walk around, if you don't know how to work with your contours, or you don't really know what contour is all about, then drop a comment in the comment section and I'll give you the link to a tutorial of how I explained contour and how you need to use it in your designs or whichever design that has to do with contour. Just drop a link, drop your comment in the comment section and I'll send you the link for a contour tutorial video. So my neckline moved, as you can see. I redrew it with my ruler and then I went ahead to cut it out. Also on this part, I'm going ahead to cut it out like so. So I added fresh pattern paper to cover up this dart because I'm going to be leaving 1.5 inches before I sew up the dart. But do not worry, as we go on, you understand what I'm doing, okay? Now you're going to be marking 1.5 inches from your bust point. And then you check the midpoint of that line that you marked. You want to make sure you check the midpoint of that line that you marked. Then from there, you go ahead to redraw your dart. Make sure your dart is coming from the same dart leg. Okay, the same dart leg, yes, to that middle point. Then you go ahead to redraw your dart. So at this point, we've redrawn the dart. Now go ahead to cut it out. So for this very point, I'll also be doing the same thing. Okay, here I came down by 1 inch. And then from my bust apart measurement, I'm going to be redrawing the dart to the initial dart leg. So this is going to help you to get that fullness around the bust, so your dart is not really on top of your bust point, okay? So you need that fullness around the bust. So the whole of this pattern is going to be white, and you know that we are cutting this part in 2 pieces. We are having 2 pieces of this. Now for this part where the center front is included, I'm going to be labeling my center front. Labeling is very crucial in this design so that you don't mix things up. Okay, I've labeled center front, and of course I'm going to be cutting them on fold. Now go ahead to cut out the dart that went from the underbust all the way to the waistline. Now normally I'm supposed to join this together, but for the sake of the design we are recreating, it was sewn. It was not joined together from the pattern. It was sewn, okay? So I made an arrow to show that I'm going to be joining it from this point. These arrows now, while cutting on my fabric, I'm going to be marking notches. And as you can see, I'm labeling everything. I label up, down, side seam. Okay, I have to make sure I label everything. And when I'm cutting on my fabric, I mark notches to help me remember. So that's it for that one. Now heading to the lower part of it, we are going to be extending our bust apart measurement all the way to the hem. Then we'll go ahead and cut open our dart. Then on that line, we are going to be cutting all the way up until we get to where our dart stopped. Then we'll go ahead to close this up, and this will automatically open up to form a flare or an A-line. I went ahead to spread it out on a fresh paper. Okay. So now because I need more fullness, I'm going to be ruling additional style line or slash line on this pattern, so I can slash it more and open it more for more fullness, so that the flare can be full a bit. Despite my fabric is kind of light, if it were thicker, it would have been more obvious that the flare is a bit full, though not very full. So I opened it up. Can you see how much I opened? You can decide to open as much as you want, so long as you know that your fabric will be enough. There's no problem with that. So at the end, this is what I'm having. Now from this point of the dart, you're coming down by 3 inches. This was the point where we closed up that. You're coming up by 3 inches. Now from the center front, you're coming down by, is it 12 inches that I marked? Or 11.5, whichever one. Then I'll go ahead to connect those 2 points together. From the picture on top of the screen, the one I'm putting on, you find out that the center front has this kind of pointy, the blue one has this kind of pointy part. So that is the part we're ruling out now. That's the part we just made now. Now for the navy blue by the side, You want to come up from your hem at the side seam. You want to come up by I used 6 inches, okay? Just do whatever works for you, but do not go overboard. 6 to 8 inches should be enough. Now from this point, from that 3 inches point at the dart, you're going to be connecting a curved line to meet that 6 inches point. And then I'll go ahead to cut it out. So this part that I cut out now is the navy blue by the sides. Okay, it's the navy blue by the sides. So I'll go ahead to cut out the excess of the paper. This part that I'm marking a short straight line, I'm going to be marking notches when I'm cutting them on the fabric. So that part is navy blue, like I said, we'll set it aside. I'm trying to check what this part is. Of course, it's navy blue also. I went ahead to write it navy blue, and then I'll cut it out. So I labeled center front, I labeled up, and of course I made that part obvious. Now heading to the sky blue, this part now is the sky blue, okay? We're going to be slashing and spreading it out the more, especially on this pointy part. Remember, it's going to be having a joining at the center front so that, the flare can cover up the joining for the center front, just like the one I'm putting on or the one you saw at the intro when the video was starting. You wouldn't know there was a joining at the center front, especially at the sky blue part of it. So we're going to be slashing and spreading out this sky blue at the center front the more so we can get that effect. I went ahead to draw in my slash lines or kind of a guideline so I know where I'm slashing and where I'm going to be cutting out. Cutting on, sorry, I'm not cutting out, please. So I went ahead to bring another color of fresh pattern paper so I can spread it out on it. Remember, this is the sky blue. So we're going to be spreading it out. You can spread as much as you want. Just make sure it's something that your fabric can accommodate. And also make sure you're spreading it well. So here is it now. This is what our sky blue pattern is looking like. So that's all for the front. We head over to the back, which is actually very simple. Now this is my back pattern, our back basic pattern. What we're going to do is same thing we did for the front. We're going to be taking away 1 inch from the shoulder. Went ahead to connect it to the depth of the neckline for the back. So we're cutting this part off now to form our back neckline. Okay, so from my waistline for the back, I'm going to be separating the upper and the lower part of this pattern. Then for this part, we're using white. For this part of the back, we're using white, as you saw in the intro of the video. And we're not really doing much. We're just going to be sewing up our darts. So I'm cutting the dart open. So for the lower part of the back, we're working with navy blue all through. I felt navy blue is going to be better. Navy blue and cream white. That stuff is not really pure white. It's kind of milk white or off-white. So I felt navy blue is going to be better. So for the whole part of the back, we'll just make the lower part of the skirt or the lower bodice part of the back. We'll cut it into a flare as I'm doing now, just like we did for the front. Then we go ahead and cut everything with sky blue. We're not color blocking anything for the back. So I placed it in a fresh pattern paper and I'll go ahead and slash and spread it the more, just same way we did for the front, without any color blocking, just the basic flare pattern without any color blocking, whatever. And that's what I'm doing right now. I added fresh pattern papers to accommodate more space or more fullness. So this is my center back and I labeled navy blue. Like I said, we're using navy blue for everything for the back, the lower part of the back. So I went ahead to sew up my darts. I already sewed up my dart for this front part of it. Then I'll set it aside to show you. The next thing you're going to do after sewing up your darts for the white for the front part, you go ahead to stitch this part together. Can you see the way I'm placing it? Because I marked my notches so you don't make mistake. After stitching this part together, the navy blue part, then you go ahead to put in the white, okay, following your lines. The underbust line should match, all right. So here is what it looks like. Of course, the lining pieces is here also. So I'm going to be concentrating on the neckline to turn it up so I can have a neat finish. After sewing, this is what it looks like. This is the inside, and of course, this is the outside part of it. So this is what it looks like for the upper part. So I went ahead to mark in my measurement for this part, for the front upper part. Also for the back, I already stitched up the lining, stitched up the darts, including the line and everything. I also marked my measurement, so I'm going to be shaping them from the side. Now heading over to the skirt part of it, you see my center front, that notch for the center front. Then you get the navy blue part of it, of the front skirt. We're working on the front skirt now. You're going to be sewing it first. You're going to be sewing these two parts first. So I'm done sewing it, and this is what it looks like. Now you go ahead and get your sky blue. Can you see my notch also? Like I said, the notch is important so you know where you're stitching which side to. So I'm going to be stitching this part into it like so. And remember, same thing you're going to be doing to the other side so you can complete the front. Same thing you're going to be doing to the other side so you can complete the front. So here is the complete part of the front. This is what the complete part of the front looks like. So we're going to be stitching the front skirt and the back skirt together. Especially using just my waist measurement. Then you let it flow down. Remember, you let it flow down. This depending on the number of allowances you have. After doing that, now I'm going to be joining the upper part and the lower part together. So following the notch I marked at my center front for the upper part and center front for the lower part, we're going to be joining them together. And so you join them together, making sure that all your lines for the darts are in alignment. Then you can use a pin to hold this down, making sure all the lines of the darts align. And at the end, this is what we have, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.